What's up, fam bam? Welcome to Killhut 702 Adventures and Explorations. We're about to go check out the mine shaft down in Tombstone, Arizona. So let's go.
I won't stop till I hear him say, I won't stop till I hear him say,
Come on in, guys. Anyhow, they put this part in 35, 40 years ago, so when they started getting adventure tours. So a lot of fill dirt and like kind of leveled it out. But you can still see the incline slope, including where the stairs go down. This is what they were managing themselves with, you know, with up to 100 pounds on their back for at least the first couple of years that they were mining. And these stairs have only been here about 35 years. So as we're going up and down, kind of look, see what they were working with back then. It's pretty incredible. All right. My water. Let's head on in. Welcome to the Killhut, guys.
Already cooler down here.
Yes, it's very nice and hot. But yeah, we're going into the mine. Smash that like button. Where we came in. Leave a comment down below. Let me know what you think.
Correct?
I believe you're right. I know in Ohio it's cooler around the ground. I think it's like 54 today. All right, we'll go around the corner here. It's a little steep. Watch your step.
It can get a little dark. Wow.
Storming out last weekend knocked out some of our lights on these different tunnels. You used to be able to see back there a little better, so I apologize. You can't really see back as far as you used to. So miners had different terminology that they would use for parts of the mine. What we call the walls, they call ribs. And the ceiling and the roof, they call the back. And a room like this that they created with their blasting is called a stope. And the different tunnels you see that connect the stopes are called drifts. There's a drift above us, just on the other side of that light, and it goes out pretty far, along underneath 5th Street, past the highway, about a quarter of a mile or so outside of town. Now, years ago, it actually connected into the basement and had a doorway there at the Crystal Palace on 5th and Allen, the saloon. But in the 60s, some local teenagers figured out that they could go and get into the liquor cabinet through the mine system. So that's all blocked off now. It's a slow town, man. Kids got to get into things, right? this drift here, which is normally eliminated, so pardon me, right back this way. If you look way back there, you can see how it's sort of filled in. There's like a big pile of rubble. That's the rise I was showing you from above. That's where the elevator would have been working, and you can see it's all filled in. And this drift here, you go about 120 yards or so and belly crawl through a small opening, you'll pop out into the Tough Nut Mine right across the ravine from us.
So that's a hike, anyway.
It's not too bad. You come out into a mine or a room with stope like this, big enough for a football field.
Oh, wow.
They mined and remined the Tough Nut so many times, different materials over the course of several years. They were still mining at the Tough Nut in the 70s. They were really finding a lot of lead and manganese and things like that during World War I. That it was a pretty big contributor to the war effort. But we're connected here to the Tough Nut and 6 other mines, and not necessarily for transportation, that's a little frowned upon, but for airflow. You know, the problem they had back then, they didn't have fans or anything, so they would connect the mines with a series, like almost like a web of different drifts and air chutes, so that the mines breathe in and out like we do, and it helps maintain the temperature. It's always 68 degrees down here, year round, every day. It's always beautiful in the mine.
A lot better down here than out there right now.
Right? Very
It
good.
should be, maybe you don't want to be there.
Yeah, you don't want to be too deep either. But hey, there's no bugs. So it's good too. I love that. All right, let's go see some silver.
That is really nice and clean.
Right?
On the rib behind me, I have a light here. You can see this color black, you know? That's silver chloride. That's what they're mining when they're mining for silver. Kind of a low grade mixed with some manganese, so it's not that profitable through here, but it's to show you, you know, that silver is not actually silver. When it's in ore form, when it's a rock still in the wall, it's actually black, which I'm sure makes it even easier to find by candlelight, right? So this is kind of a neat construction. You'll see different examples of this all throughout the mine. Miners would make this. This is what they call gobbing or cribbing. So they would take the timbers here and stack them up like that, and then in between it they would fill with all the waste rock. You know, there's no value to it, so you don't want to waste any resources getting it up out of the mine, but you need to get it up out of the walkways. So they would stack it. You'll notice there's no mortar or cement or anything. They would just stack the rocks and kind of puzzle them together till they interlocked, and it creates a nice big fence or wall, if you will. A really good, yeah, really good support for the back of the mine too. So it's like doing double duty. But you'll see different variations of it throughout the tour today. Take a good look at it as we walk this way into the valley.
Bro, this is supposed to be silver in its raw form.
Oh, really?
Isn't that wild?
Especially in that black color. Look how shiny it is.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Which way did they go? This way.
Some studies in the marine fossils here and determined that 250,000 years ago, this was actually a shallow ocean right here in the middle of Samoan Desert, believe it or not. So that's an ancient seabed you can see back there. You'll probably notice this blue mineral too. It kind of stands out pretty good with all the earth tones we got going on down here. A lot of people think maybe it's turquoise or copper. It's a mineral called chrysocolla. Whatever makes you comfy. When the drillers and the other miners arrived for their shift, they would issue their tools. And it would also include their candles. Candles then were made from an animal fat, so they're pretty expensive. And mine owners are notoriously cheap, so you only get 3. And they only burn for 2 hours apiece, which you can understand the math problem that we're having. If you're down here for 10 hours, you're gonna have to do some mining in the dark. So I'll cut the lights now. I'll give you an idea of their working conditions back then. First thing they would do, of course, is light their candle and then begin drilling. Hit quarter turn like I showed you up top. Now, after a while, they would have a decent hole started, so they could go ahead and blow their candle out. And they continue drilling in the dark. Oh gosh. They would drill in the dark like this up until their hand hit the wall. Once their hand hit the rib, they knew that they were down far enough and they could relight their candle, scoot over a few inches, and start a new hole. Now if you look here, this little concave area, it's kind of shaped like an eye, that's all the more that they were able to blast out. That's one man's 10-hour shift, essentially. So you can see what a slow going process this single jack mining that I've been showing you so far. But part of it was, I mean, it's a small drill steel, it's a small sledgehammer, but it's also not very good explosives. The dynamite equivalent that they had back then, if anyone besides me has ever played with an M80, that's pretty much the force that we're dealing with. So you can see what a slow going process this was. But they also had double jacking. Double jacking has a few advantages. Now you have a 40-pound steel and a partner. So they have an 8-pound sledgehammer. You're going to get about 1.5 feet further, moving a lot more material on your ship, which is great. But now that there's 2 of you, you also have 6 candles, so you don't have to worry about mining in the dark, which is really important when it comes to double jacking. So the guy up front, it's his job to turn it that quarter turn, utilizing the chisel point after every blast. But you know, it's really hard on your body. He's taking a beating. You can't rest this on your shoulder, blow out your collarbone. So after a while, when he needs a break, he has to signal to his partner. And he does that by waiting for a hit, and instead of turning it, he slides his hand up, covers the shiny spot reflected off the end of the steel there, so that his partner would know, you know, not to swing. Hopefully.
Oh,
Hopefully. There's always hope, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's it's dangerous working underground. You know, miners had a lot to deal with, but you know, that's probably why they were so well paid. I would assume miners made $4 a day and they worked 6 days a week. No one mined on Sundays, so they were pulling in almost $100 a month. Compare that to an army sergeant out here from Camp Huachuca, you know, chasing Apache. They were only paid $15 a month. And if you were a foreman on a big cattle ranch, you know, big John Wayne style cattle ranch out here, $20, $25 a month. Miners were the best paid people around, hands down. That's what really got the money flowing here. That's what really brought people to town, was the silver industry and the miners' income. There was always a line of folks standing outside these various mines in the district, you know, waiting for a turn to get in on a shift, which came up sometimes. Our shifts usually here, the good enough, were about 50 men. They would have 20 people doing drilling, 20 people doing mucking, and then 10 supervisors, people handling, you know, dynamite and doing inspections and that kind of thing. Another job the supervisors had was to check out the people when they arrived for their shift. These were English and Irishmen, usually between the ages of 15 and 30 or so. A lot of liquor licenses up there. They're the best paid people around, so we want to make sure everyone's steady when they show up. They were also looking for symptoms of what they called mad miner's disease, which would be like trembling, double vision, hallucinations even, and if you showed up with any of those symptoms, they would just fire you on the spot, call in somebody else from the gate. What they didn't know is that mad miner's disease was just severe lead poisoning.
Mm-hmm.
Oftentimes on their 15-minute lunch break, they would be eating out of a can, like this artifact from one of our mines, and you can see the seam and the plug there on the bottom. It's made from lead. There's enough lead in that can to cast a 45-caliber bullet, believe it or not. So as they're sitting there heating their beans up or eating their fruit right out of the can, they're poisoning themselves, you know, without even realizing it. There's actually a more deadly poison that I'll get to when we talk about the processing. Oh, yes. Oh, okay, cool. So we just found this out, so you guys are among the first to see this. I'm going to turn the lights off again and use my black light and show you some really cool stuff right up here. Everyone okay with that?
Mm-hmm.
All right. I forgot. So you can see right here all the wax and everything from our modern day candles as we're doing demonstrations on the tour. But we never had our candles up here. And you can see like this wax dripping down from 140 years ago or so when they were actively mining in here. You can see how they came down and down and down. I think that's pretty cool.
Very cool.
Yeah, you can see
glow in
some
the dark?
crystals too. As we've started doing this, they're starting to soak up the UV light and start glowing. It's pretty neat. And yeah, that's the way out.
Yeah.
You don't even see it, you know? Can't see it at all.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah, I didn't even know that was there. It's surprising too. Anyhow, so if it seems a little awkward and unscripted, that's because it's brand new. So I apologize. All right. Well, before we move on, I wanted to take a second here. This is the biggest room, the biggest stope that we're going to see on the tour, and it's kind of average in size. Actually, there's a lot further down that are bigger than this particular stope. But it's a good time to remind you that this was never a cave or a cavern. There was no natural hole here. This was always solid rock. So any void between us or between you and the mine was silver ore. They hauled out or repurposed rock somewhere here within the mine. And they did this all in the scope of only 20 years. By hand.
I
By
really
hand,
want to go
like
back up now.
just chasing the
It's so
vein.
cool
A
down
lot
here.
of
It's
tombstones
nice down here.
has, the Swiss cheese of it, if you will. There's over 520 miles documented of tunnel here underneath the tombstone in the mining district itself.
How
Pretty
deep are we?
fascinating.
How deep are we right now?
According to this line right here, we are 108.
Nice.
108, right there.
Wow.
Yeah. When we go around the corner, I usually say we're 110 feet down. So yeah.
It still goes like 300 feet deeper.
Another 350 some feet. Yeah.
That's
Just
cool.
like this.
Nice.
It's pretty incredible. When you start to think about the resources they had, and just even getting here from many
I
parts
actually have to walk
Yeah.
all day.
all day. It's incredible. All right, follow me. Let's go into the chapel next. It's the chapel time.
Did you say chapter?
I think so.
This part of the mine, the name of the chapel here, anybody knows why? I think it's a nice little dome shape. You can see some more cribbing back there. Like I showed you on the way in. Capitalized, I guess you could say. It's where we have our wedding ceremonies. 38 so far.
How do you have it? Yeah?
Yeah, so, if you or anyone you know wants to get hitched or renew their vows, 100 and some feet closer to where, this is kind of a good spot. Right above us through here is our Trolley Depot. It's right there on 4th and Tough Nut. Kind of give you some orientation. We've come about a block and we're 110 feet under right there. But the important part of the chapel to the mine is this is the winds. So if you look over the rail, you can see down a few different levels into the mine. So a mucker here could throw his sack of ore down, and then someone down there would throw it down to another level down, and then so on and so forth. They worked all the ore down until they got it onto a level that had a rail. That way they could put it into a cart, push it back across the mine to the ride, and then the elevator could lift it up around the mine. Really efficient way of doing mining. A lot of places still use this method to this day. So take a look at the winds, and then we'll walk over here and head back out. On the ground here on the other side of the safety
Oh,
chamber,
it goes deep that way.
Yeah.
construction miners call this a bug.
This is supposed to be the chapel.
Method of geo.
Come on, guys. Let's get married. Supposed to get married in the mine.
Huckle's about to get married.
Right.
Some calcite crystals on it. And you'll see some more gypsum and calcite in front of the big light here. Different formation. That's more like a box crystal. We're going to walk down this path into another room with a bench so you guys can have a seat again. I'm going to stop midway and show you some high-grade silver here on the wall that you can take a look at before you head into the room. But watch the headache rock. You'll know when you see it. So right here
Look at this. It's got like a gnarly look to it.
It does. It's shiny as hell. Look at all that.
Yeah.
Surprised the good stuff's still here.
See, this is where all the good stuff is there, but they won't let it go.
Right? Wonder what that is. It's all shiny right here.
It's probably raw silver. More raw silver and other stuff.
It goes back
Other
that way
minerals.
too.
You guys can have yourselves into the next room. Have a seat on the bench. I'll be right behind you.
There's more of that, see?
It's like super shiny.
That's some kind of mineral that grows like that.
Yep, that's the headache, bro.
That's crazy.
This is the good silver, high grade right here.
I never noticed that it was the black patches until you said there's something back there.
Right, yeah, it's actually black. It's so, like when you, when silver tarnishes, you know, it gets black, you have to polish it to keep it silver, oxidizes. Crazy.
All kinds of holes that come off the sides and everything. That's
That drift right there actually used to connect into the basement of another store.
wow.
Back then it was the Grand Hotel, biggest, fanciest hotel and brothel in town. So I'm sure it's a well-worn path. But it's Big Nose Kate's now. Yeah, if you go to Big Nose Kate's, they have a basement gift shop. And that's the one next to it right there, where the Swamper was. So this is some silver ore. I'll let you guys take a look at it. Yeah, pass it around. It's a little heavier than it looks, so be careful. But that's some silver ore from one of our mines here. And once they got the silver ore up and out of the mine, they have to get it to the river for processing because it requires a lot of water. It's not really what we have here. So 9 miles away, a little town called Charleston is where they had the mills. They would load it into ore wagons. You probably noticed we have an ore wagon up top in our yard. But that's kind of small. That's a 5-ton. They were using 12 ore wagons back then. So once they got it loaded up, 20 horses or mules, all-day journey, 9 miles to Charleston. And then the first step is to go ahead and get it into a crusher, like a big jaw mill. Just like you would picture, like a mouth, just kind of breaks it down, beats it down into smaller pieces. They would end up with chunks about that big. And then they put it into a ball mill. A ball mill uses steel balls like this, up to about 18 inches in diameter, varying sizes. And they tumble it sort of like a rock tumbler or dryer.
Right.
And they beat it down. After they finish in the ball mill, the pieces are down to about 1 inch or 2 in diameter. And then it goes into a stamp mill. Stamp mill has a big piston, 6,000 psi, just crushes it down, pulverizes it into powder. Now, once they have it down in powder, they mix it in a big vat with water and copper sulfate, salt, and the part that's worse than the lead poisoning, mercury. That's what they were using back then. Mercury poisoning is definitely deadly and super fast acting. Yeah, the men working in that part of the mill, their life expectancy was only 3 to 5 years. Sad. Once they figured out it was mercury, you know, poisoning everyone, knocking everyone off so fast, they switched it up for safety and started using cyanide. Much healthier, right? So once they got the silver all boiled down, they could skim it off and then they would pour it into ingots. Not quite like the silver bars that we're picturing. They were using much bigger, heavier molds. They wanted the ingots to be so heavy that nobody could steal them. So they're 180 pounds. You can't really picture someone my size going too far in the desert with a 180-pound backpack. So it definitely worked out. They didn't lose a lot of silver from that part of the mill. And then they needed to load the ingots up back to the ore wagons and out to the train station about 4 miles away. A little ghost town called Fairbanks. We eventually got our own train station here. The depot's right there behind our trolley on 4th and Tough Nut, but it was still closer to use the one in Fairbanks. It was closer to the mills. So they would load it up onto the train. It would go through Benson, El Paso, all the way out to New Orleans, which is where the mint was. That's where they would process it down a little further and make Morgan silver dollars. If you find a Morgan silver dollar that has the O mint mark for New Orleans, and it's dated 1880 to 1882, that silver came here from the Good Enough exclusively. From 83 and on, it's still Tombstone silver, but a mix of different mines here in the area. Now on your tours and travels around Tombstone today, you might be told that flooding had a big role to play in why the silver industry collapsed. But very few mines even hit water. Actually, our water table is about 550 feet down. Our mine only goes 470. Most of the mines in the area don't hit water. What caused the silver industry to collapse and the town to bust, basically, is just the price of silver. See, we were going through, we had a gold and silver standard both for our currency for a while, and then there was a rumor that we'd be switching to the gold standard only. And that dropped the price of silver to about $2.80 an ounce. And then the rumor became true. We actually did switch to the gold standard. It dropped again to about $1.90 an ounce. Now Congress took action. They put some legislation together in the Sherman Act where it was kind of bolster the industry and make sure the price was kind of sustained for a while, and it worked until they rescinded the Sherman Act. And when they rescinded the Sherman Act, silver dropped to 24 cents an ounce. You can't mine dirt for 24 cents an ounce. I mean, honestly, that's what killed the town. Not that we died, because we're too tough, but got down to about 150 people at one point from 15,000. We used to be the biggest city between St. Louis and San Francisco for a while. So yeah, that's what killed the silver industry. Just the price, just politics. We would have to have silver up at about $200 an ounce for a company to come in and expect to make a profit. That's not going to happen. There are still some silver mines active in Arizona, but they're making their money on the byproducts. They're not making any money on, I'm sure they're not throwing it away, but that's not where their profit's coming from, unfortunately. It's just cheaper to import
They
it.
strip money, or they just doing the money right here?
There's all different kinds.
Yeah, so strip money, so they more.
The copper mine up in Bisbee is still active. Copper's going, silver's not. Crazy. I know. I don't make the rules.
Is there gold?
We should
Found
cut
gold down there?
Yeah, there's a neat little rift that comes between us and Bisbee. So on that side of it, it's mostly copper. On this side of it, it's mostly silver. And if you go out to the Dragoons, about 10, 12 miles just outside of town, that's gold. A lot of people have gold mines out there. A lot of people think that Asians or Chinese people, worked here in the mines, but that's really not. They had different jobs around town, laundry and that kind of thing. But they did band together and started their own mine out there, a gold mine, and had their own city and everything. It's pretty cool.
Nice.
But I digress. All right, does anyone have any questions for me before we hit the stairs? No? Awesome. All right, I'll tell you guys about the honey cart when we get up there and we're trying to catch up right after all those stairs. Come on down.
Yeah, so she said it's silver, right?
Yeah, this is all like raw silver. Especially that one.
It's amazing.
This is pretty.
Bunch of it, huh?
Some other kind of mineral growing right there.
It's all crazy, man. Crazy, crazy. Back up the stairs. Hope you guys are really enjoying this tour. This was super cool. Make sure to smash that like, leave a comment down below. Let me know what you guys think. Well, back up the stairs. I think we're heading on out. Give me 1 second.
Camera won't focus.
Oh, really?
But hey, has an extra 30 bucks a month. Handle it. This one's kind of newfangled stuff to get right. They didn't have one that fancy when they were working here in the Good Enough. They had long handled labels. Honey dippers. I know. It's all terrible down here. I love showing off the mine though. I really appreciate you guys coming by. It's a pleasure of mine. We have a pretty good rating on TripAdvisor. Last year they gave us an award for top 10% of attractions in the world.
Really?
Yeah, so we want to do that again on a more normal year. I'm sure a lot of places were kind of out of the running, but whatever. Anyhow, if you guys want, I've got my TripAdvisor cards here with our information on it. Again, my name is Amber.
Ice in my veins, I've been driving this train. Years in this lane, there's no stopping this flame. Cause I came to the game and I changed it to play how I like, rearranged it to my own domain. Yeah, I got what it takes, made lots of mistakes, taking shots, skipping breaks, feeling lost, feeling great, popping off, singing straight, never stopped, never changed. All the squad here to play and I've got something to say, yeah. I work hard each and every day, I get lost in the words I say. I don't push pause, no I push play. I won't stop till I make a change. I withdraw on the things I make. I turn flaws into flawless traits. I build tall, never capped in space. I won't stop till I hear him say,
Alright fam, we're walking out of the mine right now. It's a really awesome tour.
6 a.m. and I'm up again. I got tired eyes, need a cup of blend. That's right, in the AM, that's my only friend.
You know, it's usually that.
Yeah.
You got 500 guys in the building.
That is, no thank you.
Alright fam bam, it's gonna be the end of the video. Hope you guys enjoyed that tour. Make sure to smash that like button. Leave a comment down below. Let me know what you guys thought of that. I thought it was freaking awesome. Thanks for watching. Peace.
I won't stop till I hear him say